Pat joins us now, and she's the host of the popular Among Women podcast and the author of Blessed, Beautiful, and Bodacious, celebrating the gift of Catholic womanhood. And Pat, thanks so much for coming in today.
What a pleasure to be here.
In the rain, in the terrible traffic.
How long did it take you? 2 hours?
An hour 45, yeah.
Crazy.
True New England woman here.
Thank you
Well, you
for
know,
doing it.
it'll be the best 6 to 7 minutes of your life. It really will be well worth
Or at
that
least your day.
ride.
It's great to be here, guys, really.
And they say it's only going to take about 10 minutes to get home. It's just that the traffic was bad. I'm just trying to make it feel good. I'm not sure how. Well, it's great to have you here to talk about the book, Blessed, Beautiful, and Bodacious. What made you decide to share insights into the writing of Blessed John Paul II, articulating the 4 gifts unique to every woman?
Well, I have long admired Pope John Paul II, but to be honest, when he started writing about something called the feminine genius, I was really intrigued, being a woman. And Blessed, Beautiful, and Bodacious is my answer in response to John Paul's writings about the feminine genius. I talk about the blessed dignity, the beautiful gifts, and the bodacious mission that women have, based on some of the writings of John Paul, some of the teachings of the church. And the 4 gifts that we talk about in this book are receptivity, generosity, sensitivity, and maternity. And each of them have a particular way of being expressed in a woman's life. Receptivity is saying yes to love. We have a beautiful example in our Blessed Mother who said yes through her fiat to the angel, right? Generosity is making a gift of oneself in the way we love other people. Generosity is one of those things that John Paul talks a lot about in terms of the law of the gift, that we are to be gifts one to another. Sensitivity is a gift that sometimes women get a bad rap about. Sometimes women are tearful at weddings or at a chick flick. But it's much more than that. It's a deeper gift. It's a real gift that John Paul points out, that women really can see people with the heart. They have a real appreciation for the human person and can relate to people in a personal and unique way through that gift of sensitivity. We see a lot of women in the helping professions. That's an example of their sensitivity, you might say, in action, reaching out to help and to serve others. And finally, the gift of maternity is probably most obvious with women. You know, women have the ability to give birth to children, which is a beautiful and wonderful gift. But only some women will actually give birth to children, but all women are called to give birth spiritually. We are called to be physical and spiritual mothers. A good example of that is Mother Teresa. You know, we think of her as being a spiritual mother and how she mothered so many people through the witness of her life. All women are called to spiritual motherhood, to love with this maternal mission.
You know, we're always reminding people that, you know, each one of us has an inherent God-given dignity.
Right.
And in this disposable culture, how difficult is it to convince women, especially, of their inherent dignity?
Well, I talk about dignity in a good 1/3 of the book. And I really approach it from the idea of that we're called to live from the inside out. All of us are body and soul. We have a conscience that is like the tabernacle of the soul. Think of a church, the holiest of holies, the special place where God lives is the tabernacle within the church. The conscience is like that in our souls. It's the place where God speaks to us. It's the place where it's our sanctuary, the church says. So we live from that place. We live from that place that's inside of us. Now, if our conscience is rightly formed and aligned with all the good things that God says about us, that make us special and beautiful in God's eyes, then we can live a very free and a very joy-filled life. But if our conscience is maybe misaligned, maybe not in touch with those things that God has said about us, maybe we're taking in some of this idea that life is disposable and things like that, that can hurt us and lead us in a path that's not as good for us as people. So this living from the inside out is part of our way of being guided by this conscience, by this rudder. So the book is an attempt to help us to reform our conscience in such a way so that we understand who we are and whose we are, and our inherent dignity that comes from God.
Well, you're a wife, you're a mom, and you have a very special moment in a family's life coming up. You have a wedding coming up. How can parents share the message of dignity with their children?
You know, that's a great question, and I love being a mom, by the way. And there's two different ways that we can really share the idea of a person's dignity. The first comes to us right from the Bible. In the book of Genesis, we learn that God made us in his image. And that's a beautiful thing to share with children. God created us male and female. And both masculinity and femininity have beautiful ways of expressing that there's something of the glory of God in each of us. So there's this idea that we've been created. I love what Pope Emeritus Benedict taught, that each of us is the result of a thought of God. I think that's fantastic. Like, God knows the moment that we were created. You know, one moment we didn't exist, and then the next moment we did. God knows that moment. God knows who we are in that moment, and he loves us in and through that creation. The other moment to share with your children is the moment of their baptism. And I think even we as adults have got to grow in appreciation and awe of what our baptism is. Because our baptism makes us beloved sons and daughters of God. We're brought into the family of God. And there's a richness there that you can't find anywhere else. It's a free gift. We didn't earn it. So those two things really are what grounds us in our dignity. It's this beautiful bedrock of knowledge that we can stand on, that we are dignified by who we are and whose we are.
I got to say, I don't know how you do it. You're a podcaster, you're a public speaker, you're giving a retreat, you know, a wedding, and you still had time to write a book. Where can people get a copy of this? Because I'm sure that people who are listening are excited to read.
Well, I'd be happy if they found it at their local Catholic bookseller. Those stores are really important to the life of the church. But they can also find it at Amazon, Barnes & Noble online. I'm happy if they want to get a signed copy, they can come to patgohn.com and get one through me as well.
Nice.
Well, Pat, thanks so much for being with us today, and thanks for taking the time and that long ride to do it. Like I said, what a great 7 minutes.
I'm so
that
glad
you
to
had
be with
us.
you guys. Thanks.
Bodacious even.
And your second visit here, I believe, right? On This Is the Day?
Glad to be here.
Okay.